Hi class, it's week 6 of Family Systems, and we are reading this week 2 chapters in the Gerhardt book, chapter 8 and 9, chapter 8 being Behavioral and Cognitive Behavioral Family Therapies, and 9 being Solution-Focused Family Therapies. Solution-Based Therapies is called. So it's quite a bit of material, although I think you'll find it fairly easy and accessible. There are some very definitive names and people that have contributed to these particular therapies. The behavioral cognitive family therapies are actually focused quite a bit in parenting and parent education and parent training. And you will recognize a lot of what these particular types of treatments and approaches incorporate in terms of working with behaviors. One of the people that comes out of behavioral and cognitive behavioral family therapies, one of the big names of our current day and age is John Gottman, and I have included some two training videos for you to watch of his work and how he discusses his research findings that he's done at the University of Washington on couples. Very widely followed and known and accepted currently in the field. I think you'll also find very interesting Ellis's ABC theories, activating event, belief about activating event and the emotional behavior consequences, and exactly, kind of the emphasis in Albert Ellis's approach to working with the belief about the activating event and the emotional behavioral consequence. All of these things are very solid in terms of practical, concrete ways of working with families, and gives the therapist a lot of assessment tools and fine material for planning interventions and treatment of these clients. In mindfulness, also in this chapter is mindfulness approach. I have given you a couple people to listen to. One is Sue Langer, who's been studying mindfulness for quite a while and is a professor at, I think she's Harvard. And you might all be familiar with Jon Kabat-Zinn, who also introduced the mindfulness, what is it called? It's the mindfulness stress reduction, mindfulness-based approach to therapy. You will also recognize Marsha Linehan's name in here, who is very much a behavioral therapist who added in the mindfulness element to her work in order to help people come into a deeper understanding of what's going on for them as they work with the dichotomies in the polarities in their thinking. And her work is widely known and followed at this time as well. I also included a video for you of Daniel Siegel, who has written a book called Mindsight and many others since then. And he is very much on the cutting edge of interpersonal neuropsychology, which is a lot to say. And so I think you're going to enjoy reading about these people and what they have to offer. By the way, I've seen John Gottman in many conferences and really like his work, and it forms the basis of a lot of my educational pieces that I use in my approach with, especially with couples, and sometimes with parenting as well. I came into the field as a parent educator, and I will tell you that I am very much an Adlerian, Dreikers Children the Challenge based parent educator. I really enjoy Love and Logic and their approach also. So those are just just for your information, that's kind of where I come from in terms of parenting and some of the tools that I use. I could talk about that, but I really don't have time. Okay, in the chapter 9, we get into the solution-based therapies, and now we find the work of Insoo Kim Berg and her husband, Steve Shazer O'Hanlon, who solution-oriented therapy created. He's the creator of that, and then Milton Erickson, who, interestingly enough, is one of the people behind solution-based therapy. I say interestingly enough is because we think of him as being the master of hypnosis and trance, and yet there is such a contribution that he makes to solution that comes through his work with trance and through hypnosis. He is a character like Whitaker in some ways, Milton Erickson, in that he very much followed the process and worked with the process, but he did it in very specific ways, as did Whitaker. Milton Erickson often would be looking and listening and paying close attention to the kinds of things that people were, his clients were talking about. And then he would use an introduction of similar things in order to create a trance and open up the possibility of different solutions in an indirect way. I have included for you videos with Shazer and Insoo Kim Berg. There's one there, her talking about solution-based therapies and her approach. I did not include Scott Miller, who is also very much current in the speaker, on this current speaker circuit. He has a lot of excellent information about what works in therapy and why, and is known widely by insurance companies because they like that kind of thing. They like it to be clear and definable and accessible. Okay, let's see. One of the things I wanted to say was that there is you'll read this in chapter 9, there is a way in which being in solution-based therapies is about beginner's mind, and you will read this. So it's a Zen of viewing, being present, listening deeply without agendas and or assumptions, echoing the words of the client, and it's as they describe it, Carl Rogers, with a twist, in that the twist being that instead of saying something like you're not feeling understood by your boyfriend, it would be very much more specific in this approach. You were not feeling understood by your boyfriend last Saturday, which in their view leaves a lot more room for solution and for possibility. Hope and optimism are really big in this particular approach to therapy. Okay, let's see. In DeShazer, Steve DeShazer introduced client motivation, and understanding what client motivations are helps therapists understand and set agendas for treatment. Visitors, complainants, and customers, and I really love this. You'll find it on page 338 in your manual or your text. He says, which is very true, that as therapists, especially new therapists, that we believe that all clients that come to see us are customers, that they're ready to and willing to and have high in intention and low resistance to the work, which is just simply not true. Okay, so also some of the really fun things that have come out of solution-based therapies are the miracle and solution generating questions. that are very fun to watch being used and to try with your clients. So when you get to practicum days and you're starting to work with clients, I will, if you have me, and if you don't, I hope whoever you do have will be inviting you to use these with your clients in real time. Okay, I think that's it. Scaling questions, very important. Okay, so this week what I've asked you to do, what I'm asking you to do in the discussion forum is to respond to a very simple vignette that I created of a family of 4, and to look at this treatment, what you would be doing with them through the lens of cognitive behavioral mindfulness strategies, as well as solution-based therapies. I'm not going to be asking you to write a paper about your FOO this week based on these readings. It would have typically been due next Tuesday. This Tuesday, you still have a reflection paper that's due, and it seems like there is some confusion about how this is working still, so I'm going to reiterate it. When I assign you in the assignments folder in your current module, you might look in the week 5 just to see this, because week 6 is a little bit different. But in week 5, for instance, you have in your module, you have a assignments folder, and in that assignment folder, I ask you to do whatever you need to do for this week. It includes watching the videos, reading the readings, and submitting your FOO paper. That one that you submit, which is due on Tuesday of each week, except for this coming week, as next week, that paper is due the following week. It's not due the same week that you're doing the reading for that paper. So it gives you a chance to spend some time really reflecting on the readings and then turn the paper in on those readings the following Tuesday. And I think some of you are confused about that. It is due on Tuesday, and I am not, I'm feeling like I'm having to chase some of you down to get those papers, which I don't want to have to do. So please attend to this. This coming Tuesday, this week, in week 6, you have a FOO reflection paper due, and it's due by midnight on Tuesday. And if you can get it in sooner, that's great, all the better. My preference is for you to upload it into the module of this week under assignments, and that allows me to make it part of the grading book that's online in the Canvas, which is really important to me. So that's my preferred way of you submitting it. If you for some reason can't find that, and some of you have had trouble finding that, while others have not had any trouble, please submit it to me by the end of day Tuesday in email form. Either way, it's due on Tuesday, and I'd like to have you be better about that. I'm also asking you to participate in the discussion forums. That is a very important part of your passing this class. And some of you are better at that than others. And I want you to up your commitment to being better about being part of the discussion forums. This does not mean that you have to do lengthy writing there, but I want to see that you're there, that you're answering the questions I've asked, and that you're responding to other people. This is part of creating a class environment, and that's the way it's done online. Okay, so I think that's everything I wanted to say, and the rest of it you'll find online under week 6 module. So I will see you on the discussion forums.